Here in Warwick, we pride ourselves on our sense of community. And what is at the center of all communities? Relationships. It's the way we relate with the people, places, and things in our town that create a true community. Let's look at those relationships now on Warwick Relates. Welcome to Warwick Relates. I'm Mary Fox. I'm the Director of Guidance and School Counseling here at Warwick Valley High School. Today, we're looking at some of the more under-the-radar people, places, and things in our community. First, we're going to pay a visit to one of the most renowned restaurants in Highland Falls.
The Hudson Valley is home to many different businesses, some being family-owned businesses. This family-owned business is close to the Hudson River and right next to West Point. The Park Restaurant in Highland Falls, New York, is one family business that continues to serve the people of Highland Falls since 1956, which is when the Pozo family bought the restaurant. The owners of this restaurant are Mike and Kevin Pozo, son and grandson of the original owners, John and Anna Pozo.
They came up from the city, either Brooklyn or the Bronx, I'm not sure. My grandfather was always in the business, and he ended up getting some investors, some people to back him, and then he saw an opportunity here and he took it. My father was born the year that they opened. He had two older brothers, so it was a family-run business from the beginning.
Serving people of the community and working hard truly runs in the family, and the employees that work here are a family in itself. Is it important to you that the restaurant is a family-owned business?
Oh, 100%. This is probably that's probably the whole reason why I'm here. I could not stand working for just I worked at the grocery store down the street, and it's just no care. You come to a place like this and there's just it's a family vibe, they bring you in.
What do you think makes the Park Restaurant different from other restaurants?
Oh God, a lot. The atmosphere, the work staff are very nice to everybody, the food. And people like coming in at the bar.
Making memories and connections is something that cannot be replaced for this family business. Fresh connections are made every day when new faces walk through the door, and that is mainly due to West Point Military Academy being down the road and the West Point Museum being across the street.
Our local community is very supportive. We also see a lot of cadets being right next door to West Point, so they obviously rotate through the years, getting more privileges as they go along, and then new classes coming in with potential incoming students and people's families visiting. Sometimes you'll get, same with them, some of them are regulars you'll see over and over again, and then you'll see the new faces filtering through as well. And with the museum across the street, we get tourists, and especially in the summer, tour buses and things like that, so it's a good blend.
West Point cadets, families, and tourists have brought in business, as well as returning customers in the area who are very important when it comes to keeping the Park Restaurant thriving. So you've been coming here for 21 years?
Yep, because I deliver mail in the town and I got to know everybody and know the family.
The owners, employees, and customers are all family when it comes to this welcoming establishment.
We've been a pillar here for a very long time, and that feels the best to me, is the smiling faces that we see every day, the people we see every week. It's one of those things, you have to have it in you to be in the service industry, and I think it's been in our family for a long time.
To think that it all started with a dream and progressed into a cozy small business that has been around for 67 years is truly inspiring.
Joining me now in the studio are Brooke Holzhauer and Shane Crane. So you guys worked on the story together.
Yep, that is right.
How did that go? What was the experience like?
Experience, lifetime. There's Mountain Dew that's in the fridge right now. Is it alright if I just grab that and maybe Brooke just takes over a little bit?
No, I think I liked working with Shane. We've worked with each other before on previous projects.
Was it 2 projects and then this one?
Yeah.
Which is also funny because we could also, I'm sorry, but we could have switched. I could have been the producer, you could have been TD, but then just something happened where it ended up being like this.
Yeah. We were gonna do a story that Shane was gonna come up with about something about his family, but then we switched to my story. But if things worked out with his, I would have, done his still. I think that we make a good team. I think we're both strong in the areas that we like. So
yeah, we have our strengths and our weaknesses, and I would say like our thing. I would say this. Like, we will butt heads at some point, but like when you have a snowball fight and you keep pounding the snow together, it gets bigger and bigger, and you just make a snowman. It's like natural and it's beautiful.
that is a great way of explaining it, Shane.
That's a
like,
lovely analogy. I love that
fantastic.
metaphor. That's great. So, Brooke, as the producer of the story, how did you where did that come from? How did you choose that restaurant? How did you find it?
So my dad is the mail carrier for Highland Falls. I mean, there's multiple, but their post office is very small. The town is very small, and he delivers mail to the restaurant. I've known about the restaurant since middle school. I've been going there a couple of times, but not recently, ever since COVID and everything. So I thought of it spontaneously because I missed going there and the atmosphere and everything. It's a restaurant that you can always go back to and you always have a lasting impression with. And it's just really good. It's one of those restaurants that you won't forget. So
They know your name.
yeah,
Kinda like
now they
friends.
know my name.
Yeah, now they know your name. So Shane, as the creative process and technician on this project, what was the biggest challenge that you faced shooting when there was an active restaurant? It wasn't like a set where there's
exactly.
cue cards and stuff.
I would say when it came to it, there wasn't much of a challenge as much. But I would say what could have been a challenge was the fact that when you have an active restaurant, there's a lot of people around, so it's kind of hard to find a spot and try to get a shot that you would like to get, as well maybe the window's too tinted for you, or just trying to find the creative side when the building's small, it's not as big as you think it is. But there is one thing I will say that us, a crew-wise, there's one shot that I loved that I made that didn't end up in the future, was this salt and pepper and this old man in the background. This poor old man that we did kind of stalk a little bit, but
Poor old man.
yeah, exactly. But that was the one shot that I took 10 minutes, and I didn't hit record the first time, and that mistake there is one other challenge is when you don't hit record and you're sitting there yeah, I'm good with the shot, I'm getting it, and then you look over, oh wait, I didn't hit record.
Oh boy, yeah. That's a great shot, though. And Brooke was sharing a little bit about the background of that story about that particular couple that didn't make it. But as a restaurant, of course, everything is about the food. Clearly, I'm very food dominant. So,
I think that's the one thing.
So, did
that's
they
on the
feed
menu.
you when you got to go through this? When you were making this project, did you get was
No,
that a
they
benefit
absolutely not feed us.
Let me explain though. So the first day we went there, they offered us food, and the owner was present the entire time. So he did offer us free food. He was like, "Are you sure?" He asked us 3 times, and we both just weren't hungry. Simply, we weren't hungry. I would have wanted it if I was hungry though. So I appreciate his offer.
Should have
but
taken a to-go bag or
Yeah.
something. Could
Well,
have brought
funny
home
thing
dinner.
is, the second time we showed up,
he wasn't. He wasn't there.
the
right?
owner was not there.
Yeah,
No.
so he didn't offer us anything, but everybody was still nice. The employees that were there were very, very nice. They let us do whatever we wanted.
She had food there the second time because
Yeah.
her dad was
Food
there.
looked great. It was a good shot.
Yeah.
Nice going, Shane. That
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, nice. That was a great piece. I love that.
Thank you.
So while the relationships between the Park Restaurant and their customers have been going on for over 50 years, another organization, the Girl Scouts, have been inspiring and empowering young girls to make a difference for over a century.
It's the first snow day of 2023. Since snow days have been sparse lately, most students use the first one to sleep in. But for Elizabeth Verbois, it was just another day of making care packages for the local police stations. Elizabeth is a senior at Warwick Valley High School. She has been involved in her local Girl Scouts troop for the past decade, completing her bronze and silver awards, and she's on her way to achieving her gold. Her topic? Child abuse awareness.
I've been in Girl Scouts since first grade, so 12 years. And I originally started off with a bunch of other girls in the troop, and then 4th grade they kind of all dispersed and went out. So then I was a Juliet for a couple years, and then I met Chloe and Grace, and they joined my troop. So now we're a troop of 3. We're a small troop, but really glad to do Girl Scouts with some of my closest friends, and you all really get close with the silver award that we did and all the different trips that we do. So I started hearing like a lot of my close friends' stories, and the first 7 girls that I talked to about like this topic, 4 of them experienced abuse at a young age, and their stories were all like very similar. They all knew it was wrong what was happening to them at a young age, but they just didn't know what to do with it. So some of the girls, like their abuse started as young as the age of 3.
Elizabeth started working on the Wisdom Wings project a year ago. Her goal is to raise awareness for child sexual assault. For part of her project, she will publish an illustrated book teaching children the foundations of consent and boundaries.
So the reason why I named it Wisdom Wings was because butterflies like represent new beginnings, and I thought that just like fit very well with the topic, where it's like you can take something that happened to you but turn it around as much as you can, as hard as it is with like PTSD. There's a thing, it's called post-traumatic growth, and it's like take what happened to you and try to grow from it and use it in a positive way as much as you can. Like, as hard as that is, like, it's easier said than done. Like, I can't go like 10 minutes of my day without thinking about something about the project and like what I can do with it.
Elizabeth has put packages in several police stations across Orange County, and now she's expanding her reach to Rockland, all while juggling the duties of an average teenager in high school.
So these are my dream boards over here. This one is from 2021, and then this one's from 2022. And it's basically just like stuff that I want to be in my life, or stuff I want in the future, stuff that's in my life currently that I'm really happy with. So like you can see that there's the therapy dog on here. That's what I wanted to do with Rose.
Originally, though, Elizabeth's plan for her Gold Award was much hairier than it is now.
My first idea was actually with Rosie, my dog. The project was called Retrieving a Smile, and the whole project was kind of like in honor of my grandmother because she passed away the same year in March of 2020, and I got Rose in June of 2020, and the goal of the project was to train her to be a therapy dog and take her to nursing homes and hospitals to visit specifically elders with dementia. But just like the timing didn't work out, so I had to switch up my project.
Being an upstanding citizen isn't new for Elizabeth. When she was in 7th grade, she attempted a similar feat.
I was in a troop meeting with the other 2 girls in my troop, Grace and Chloe, and we were trying to think of a silver award project. Originally, we were all going to do all separate ones and not do one together, but then it was our Breathe journey, and it was just like kind of focus on environmental stuff and stuff like that, and one of the leaders suggested that we focus our project on the journey, and so that's when we went to Penning's to see what kind of plants they had, and we found one huge spider plant that had 150 babies on it, and we got clippings from all of those, and we put a plant in each classroom in the middle school and also in the Belleville community schools.
Elizabeth is well known in the Warwick community as well. She's had a vital role in helping to keep the community clean.
So, can you explain to me what Operation Clean Sweep is and your involvement?
I think it was when I was in 7th grade. This one girl, her name's Julia Vargas, she ran Clean Sweep for, I think like 5 years before me, and then it was another girl before her, and it was started off as her Gold Award project, so then she passed it down to Julia, and then Julia passed it down to me, and it was started just as a thing to like clean up the town, and it's gotten so much bigger over the years.
In addition to publishing a book, Elizabeth has taken on the task of learning American Sign Language for her senior project.
So, for your senior project, you decided to learn ASL.
Yes.
Was that inspired by Wisdom Wings in your project?
So, like, kids with disabilities often are targets for abusers, and so I thought kids that are hearing impaired, kids that use sign language, even kids on the spectrum use sign language, like nonverbal kids. So I figured learning ASL and being able to sign my book and hosting events where I'm reading it to kids that are hearing impaired and signing it to kids that are hearing impaired was really important to make sure that they're educated too along with other kids.
Nick DeLeo, team leader of senior project at Warwick Valley High School, recognizes her drive and courage as she takes on such a challenge.
Elizabeth is a great young lady, a strong young woman. I think she's got a very promising future ahead of her. I love the fact that she's really, has a caring, a compassion for those who are, again, hearing impaired, and she wants to reach out to them. It takes a special person to do that.
But of course, no one is more proud of Elizabeth than her mother. As troop leader, Eileen Verbois has seen all the ins and outs of her daughter's project.
The idea has to come from her. So it was when we were discussing the raise the age law. We'd seen some people that had been affected by it, and so she started exploring options on what she could do to help. But she was interviewed by counsel. She meets with the mentors. I drive. That's what I do, and I sit in the background and take pictures.
From her achievements from when she was younger to her amazing achievements now, one thing is for certain: Elizabeth Verbois has a very, very bright future ahead of her.
Joining me now in the studio is Jazleen, Alagh, I'm going to mess that up, I'm sorry, and Jasira Gay. So when you guys were getting ready for the shoot, how did you keep the communication going? Because there's a lot of things happening all at the same time.
Yeah, so pretty early on, what had actually happened was when we were assigned this project, I just happened to see Elizabeth in the parking lot. She almost cut me off, and so I rolled down my window, and I think she thought I was gonna yell at her, but I was like, hey, I want to do a story about you, I'll DM you, I'll let you know about everything. So I reached out to her on Instagram, and from there
we met up at lunch and stuff like that.
We met up at lunch, we had a conversation. Yeah. It was very professional, we felt very esteemed, and then we started a group chat of the three of us, and that's kind of primarily how we communicated with each other.
Yeah. So if you could go back to your story and you look at it, is there anything that you'd want to change now that you get to see it? And what would that be, and why would you want to change it?
I think I would probably want to condense it a little bit more. I think that would do a better job of telling her story in a more concise way while also showing off all of her talents. But Jasira, what about you? You were the editor.
I think also condensing it more. I think the way that it was a lot, and I think it was very inspirational to see and kind of watch on its own, but I feel like it could have been condensed more also, and it can still be told in a good way. So yeah, I think it could have been condensed, but otherwise I really liked it.
Such a time challenge, right, to have in telling the story. So was there anything, Jasira, that you found limiting about following the creative vision of someone else? It's very hard to take direction, especially if you guys are friending, you have a good relationship. Yeah. Sometimes that works well and sometimes it doesn't. So
I think that both of us have very strong visions of what we want to see. So
were
usually
they in line, or you had they were on the same page?
For the most part, we were in line. Yeah. The good thing about Jasira and I's friendship is that the two of us are very lenient with each other. So we don't butt heads too often, but I could tell there were a few times where I would strike down one of her ideas, and I was like, ooh. I feel bad about that.
I feel like I have more of a creative mind. Well, we both do, but in terms of me going I feel like this didn't work. Sometimes I see shots of wait, let me try that again. And then after that, I'm yes, we can do that. But I also feel like I have to listen to her because, it's mostly she's the talent and stuff. She's a producer. So I feel like as long as I follow that road, then it'll be fine. But it was kind of hard not to be maybe if we do this and maybe if we do that. But otherwise, I think it went pretty well. I think we worked pretty well together.
So did you find a lot of it was in how you have that conversation? How you tell, or how you exactly. How you ask is always a big deal, right? Because it's a relationship, right? And that it's that conversation, which is always a little bit challenging.
Exactly. Yeah. There was Elizabeth's room was very packed, and you could see that that's where she really comes up with a lot of her ideas. So a big thing was that I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on the interview aspect, and Jasira wanted to focus more on let's capture the essence of the room. And so we had to figure out how to work together in the moment on the shoot day to figure out how to achieve.
And it was nervous because it was the weather was bad.
Yeah, it was a snow day.
So we had to reschedule, and then we couldn't meet up at one of the other places that had good lighting. It's also another thing. So it was just a lot going on, but I think we pulled it off pretty well.
I think it was great. So, but Elizabeth has also taken monumental steps to improve the future of other people, right? So she's done a lot of great stuff. So I feel very like an underachiever listening to that whole piece. So what have you guys done Like, if you were looking at, and that's a terrible question because I'm sure you've done a lot of things, but like when you look at what you've done so far, like what are you most proud of in terms of helping others to date right now?
For me, I was also a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout cadet from 5th grade to 9th grade, so for my entirety of middle school. And I did my Silver Award project on helping the elderly with technology. So I would volunteer at the library. I volunteered for about 50 hours. And in my 8th grade year, I helped probably up to 8 or 9 elderly people at different times with their technology. And that was something that I thought was really great at helping me become a very kind of patient person, because it's very difficult to explain these things when to me it's so basic and to them it really wasn't. So I feel like that was a really great character building moment for me.
Awesome. What about you,
Yeah,
Jasira?
like I think like a few years before quarantine, like 2 years ago, before I moved here, I used to actually I used to go to church and I used to babysit all the kids who would like not want to be, no offense, not necessarily want to be there during it, or they just want to play and stuff like that. So I used to be there for about like 2 years,
So
like
you
every
watched
Sunday.
the kids so that their parents could enjoy the service.
Yeah, exactly.
Vital role.
Very vital.
Yeah.
So it was pretty fun doing it and watching like the kids grow. Like it was like, aw, because like sometimes I would see them from like being like 2 to 4. And they would go all through these like, you know, changes and talking and like conflict and then solving. It was just so cute and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Felt like a mother, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. Well, thank you for all of your service. So while many of our girls are gathering for Girl Scout meetings, the boys are also finding ways to stay busy this winter. Let's look at one of the many Warwick athletic traditions that we have here.
Rec basketball is played all across the country. In fact, 1 out of every 7 children nationwide plays. And quite frankly, we're surprised it isn't more. Basketball is one of the easiest sports to learn, and requires almost nothing in the way of equipment and gear. And the skills learned through it, leadership, camaraderie, teamwork, make it an essential part of the winters of thousands of young kids. But what about when you get older? By the start of high school, it's often abundantly clear who the athletes are. And as teens settle into more firm social groups and gain varying interests, the idea of continuing with rec basketball is a complete afterthought for most high schoolers. Well, not in Warwick. Here, the High School Rec Basketball League has exploded in popularity over the past couple of years.
This rec league, from sophomore to senior year, they all play together, and these guys are picking each other up. There's crowds, there's kids in the school that are cheering them on, and it's just a lot of fun. I don't see any animosity from player to player, no matter what happens. They shake hands, they're staying in shape during the winter. And there's some great athletes in Warwick. This rec program has really paid off.
As things currently stand, over 100 boys are active participants in the program. But what is it that brings them here? It quickly became apparent that there were 2 distinct groups of athletes.
Well, I realized that it's my senior year, and I won't be really playing with a lot of my well-known friends for probably a while. I probably won't even see them for a really long time. So I wanted to spend as much time with them as possible, and that's why I chose to do rec basketball.
That's pretty fun. I got to play against my friends. You know, it's very competitive. You know, we talk outside the league, we talk in school, so it makes it very competitive. You know, it makes it fun.
So I've been trying to get better so I can make JV basketball.
This balance of players, those there for a good time and those there to improve, has created one of the most unique atmospheres you will ever see at a sporting event.
Listen, one of the great traditions in our athletics here in Warwick Valley is Warwick Rec Basketball. If you haven't seen a rec basketball game, you don't know what you're missing. What a great opportunity for our students, and some great games. This year, the talent level is better than it's ever been. Some super defense to be able to hold Ryan McLaughlin down, one of Warwick's best athletes of all time, being defended as well. He's been defended. It's incredible. Some of the team, some of our great scorers. Jacob Geibel, you come out and see what Jacob Geibel is doing on the court, you're not going to believe it. I would strongly encourage you to come out and check out Warwick Rec Basketball, some of the best basketball, probably the best rec basketball in all of New York State. Go Wildcats.
Some high praise there from a man who lives, breathes, and sleeps high school sports. Coach Zarico has played an instrumental role in the promotion of the Rec Basketball League over the years, and his hard work has certainly paid off.
Oh, it's amazing. I love watching them play, you know. It's just great. Like Kurt was saying before, he's having a lot of fun. I mean, my dad coaches his team. You know, it's just great to see them out there having fun.
I would say that I run books and stats, probably because just the environment and the people I'm surrounding myself with, they're all really great, and the environment is just fantastic, 24/7, 5 days a week.
I mean, I love them. I mean, these are like some of my best friends, like Kurt, best friend of mine. It's my guy. It's great to show them support. You know, they might not be on varsity, but they're still getting better playing basketball recreationally. They're doing everything they can to get better, and I honestly respect the hell out of that. So.
Throughout the construction of this story, there was one group that truly stood out: the refs. Often the villains of any sporting event, the one group of people despised by fans and players alike. Here they served a much different role. We saw them relaxed, laid back, joking around with everyone in the gym.
We got some of the best refs in the section.
And it was abundantly clear just how much they loved their job.
No, not many places provide a rec basketball atmosphere like the one we provide here at Warwick Valley. I think the refereeing is the reason why the game is going so good. A lot of other refs might not be able to keep this game under control, but you know, I think myself and my buddy Mike here do a good job of keeping everybody in line, preventing any fights from happening, and most of all, having fun.
This atmosphere, the fanfare, the connections, they all tie in to create one of the greatest experiences for any high schooler in the building, from senior superstar to freshman benchwarmer. So next time you're bored, why don't you come on down to the old gym and check out the Rec Basketball League. For WBTV, I'm Theo Fernandez.
Joining me now in the studio are Theo Fernandez and John Murphy. Having worked together, what is the one area you think you could have been better prepared for your partner?
Well, look, I mean, a lot of stuff goes into creating these stories. I mean, you've seen 3 pretty well done stories today, and I think that it being our first time really producing a feature type thing like this, we did a solid job. I think it was tough. You know, John, look, not a huge sports fan, which we'll talk more about later. I could have, I could have talked to him a little more because I'm obviously, you know, diehard sports fan. It's kind of my thing. I gotta talk to him more about, you know, certain things that he could look out for while filming, but all things considered, pretty impressed with how we came out.
Awesome. So what about you, John? What did you think about, like, in terms of what you thought you might have needed to do things to make this successful? Because the piece was great.
Probably, like, I think, to be honest, I think you could have given like a bit more clear communication.
You need it, yeah.
Yeah, like he said, I'm not a big sports guy. I think that kind of impacted the way I shot. Because even though I've been to like a decent amount of the basketball games we covered this year, I could have done a bit better.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of follow the action, especially if you don't know the sport, right? So or know it that well. So Theodore,
yes,
you are known around the school for covering varsity sports. See you at all the basketball games on the camera. Was it different covering a rec league as opposed to the usual like varsity sports that you're used to doing?
Honestly, it really wasn't. And if you ask me, that's what makes this league so cool. Like, the fact that I showed up to this gym and everyone was just like, they saw me filming, they're like, okay, yeah, I want to be covered, like, and I want to treat this seriously. I mean, obviously people were having fun with it, but it felt no different than like me going to one of the basketball games and shooting like a highlight that we'd edit and film here. Like, everyone cared so much. You saw the coach that I interviewed, Coach Knox, who's my coach in rec actually, and he was really, really into it. Like, he was breaking down X's and O's and like talking about, like so much footage of him that I didn't use where he was just talking about the league and how he loved how everyone was playing. And
Yeah, I didn't realize it was such a big league. So.
No, I mean, we have over 100 students at the
That's
school
awesome.
that are a part of it. I think we have 8 teams or something like that. It's really, really big
Yeah,
here.
that's great. That's great. So, John, we hear that like sports is not your thing. So, which is okay because we need all kinds of people. So, do you think that you thought that kind of impacted the way you were shooting and doing the technical side of it because you didn't really it's kind of not your thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it did. I could have, I don't know.
It probably does. I would think that sometimes, especially if that's not your wheelhouse and, that kind of thing. So, but you both played rec basketball in the past.
We did.
You played rec basketball too, John, in the past. So what was your favorite part of that, like playing in the rec league?
Well, okay, so believe it or not, I was actually on John Murphy's team for a year. I want to say we were in 3rd grade. A lot of fun moments from that season. I'm not going to bring any of those up, but I've played rec basketball basically my whole life. I mean, I started when I was in 1st grade. I actually used to be really, really good at basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I was tall. I was fast. I 1v1, Harrison Neal, who's now our varsity star, and then I came out on top in a lot of those matchups. So
nice.
For those who watch me now and say, "Oh yeah, this guy sucks at rec basketball," I used to be really, really good, and now I just kind of show up and have fun, playing with friends and all that stuff. I'm a bench player. I accept my role, and regardless, I just love the sport, and I love always showing out and playing.
That's awesome, John. So you played basketball, but did you do any other sports? Do you do any other sports?
I actually did baseball and soccer. I kind of sucked at them. No.
Did you like them and have fun with them, though? That's the important thing.
I guess.
Yeah. That's the point of rec sports, right?
That's the point of rec sports.
Yeah, and that's why we have this program,
Yeah, that's awesome.
We compete, but not at the level of the varsity team. There's more room to have fun. A lot of people enjoy it, I'd say.
That's great. Good stuff. It's good stuff. Thanks so much for that piece. And that will do it for today's edition of Warwick Relates. We hope that we gave you a good look at some of the relationships that build our community, and we hope that we were able to take the opportunity to reflect on how you relate with the world around you. As a wise man once said, friends stay together not because they have the same characters, but because they learn to form a happy bond despite their differences. Thank you all for tuning in. For WVTV, I'm Mary Fox.